Bedwars is probably one of Minecraft's most popular minigames, and today I'm going to try to create a Bedwars map from scratch. My name is Legend, and let's get started. And getting started, the first thing I need to do is make a nice big circle for the center island. And to do this, I just use World Edit, and I actually use an interesting technique where I build the bottom of the island on top and then flip it over. You'll see in a second here. Make sure you watch to the end of this, because this ends up being one of my favorite builds ever. I seriously like how this turned out. Now I need to figure out what the base of the island would be, what kind of stone texture, or if it would even be a stone texture that I use. I first thought about deep slate, stone, maybe some gray concrete, but I changed my mind and ultimately went with some granite mixed with some other blocks like jungle and dripstone. I think it turned out pretty nice. I considered adding some spikes to the bottom of it, but I never really liked how it turned out, so I ended up just removing them. What do they look cool? I don't know. Well, let me know in the comments what you think of them. The next step was, of course, to add some of the stalactites, and I decided to add actually some greenery at the bottom, which I think it turned out very, very nice. Take a look. Now it was time to start on the surface. I decided to cut a river through it, and I began designing some nice little hills, nice little mountains, I guess, to go on top. Now it's time for the detailing. This took probably more than everything else combined. Just adding rocks, trees, the places for the emerald generators. All this probably took an hour or so. It was not a quick process. Now I didn't want this central island to just be a bunch of trees, so I threw in some rocks, a little campfire, even a fallen tree to try to give it some more interest and make it a little bit more interesting. And the main island was done. Now it's time to start working on the outer islands, specifically the diamond generator islands. I just wanted to make something small, simple, and I think it turned out quite nice. Now it's time for the individual player bases. I made sure to add a spot for the bed, the villager shop, and the iron and gold generators are both inside this nice little cave. And I think I quite like how these turned out, pretty similar to everything else. But, I mean, that's obviously what I'm going for. If you ever want to make a Bedwars map yourself, there's a few different things you gotta think about. Obviously, you've got to make the right shape of the island, which I have an old tutorial on that if you're really interested. But you also gotta think you gotta have a nice area for them to trade with the villagers for resources, and you gotta make sure you leave plenty of area around the bed open. No grass, no flowers, nothing. Just some empty, flat grass area where they can place their bed defense. And that's exactly what you're gonna see me do here. And here we are, the build's done. This turned out better than I ever expected. Like I said at the beginning, this is probably one of my favorite builds ever. As you can see, I just copied that one island over a bunch of times, so now we have a bunch of different colored areas, and this is super important, so one team doesn't have an advantage over the other. I did add a few details you didn't actually see in the time-lapse. For example, I made these little caverns just so teams on these sides wouldn't have to climb over a mountain or go around it. This just makes it, like I said, a little bit more balanced. One of my favorite details, however, might be this little tree here. How on each island there's just a little tree, you can see its roots, and I think it looks very, very cool like that. If you guys enjoyed, which seeing as you watched to the end, you probably did, maybe you'd consider subscribing, maybe hitting the bell as well. If you're interested in even more Bedwars maps, let's have this hit, I don't know, 50 to 100 likes or something. We'll see. If this video does well, I'll certainly do another Bedwars map, because this was a lot of fun. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.